Okay, so hello everyone. I am Maha Salman and I welcome you all to Asia Pacific Evaluation Association's fourth Brownbag series on professionalization of evaluation. It is an honor for me to host this series, and it is so great that we are joined by different countries every month, and they share what they have all been doing with regards to professionalization. Um, this series, as you know, it's a 30-minute. I'll just go very quickly over the format of the series sessions. These are very short, learn over lunch, quick follow-up sessions with WOPE's Eval chapters, parliamentarians, and members of the evaluation community in the region to talk about the progress they've made on their commitments and evaluation goals pertinent to professionalization theme. And we want all of us to keep setting our goals, deliver better, and learn from each other's experience more importantly. And this is why these sessions are so important for all of us. So for these sessions, this one is a very, very special session. I'm a little biased towards it because the speakers today have joined in from Pakistan Evaluation Association. We have the co-founder, Syed Aman Ali, and we have Sara Ahmed, who is the co-chair of Evalu Pakistan. So I welcome both of you and thank you so much for joining in. This is your session today to talk about what Pakistan has been doing with regards to professionalization of evaluation and the progress we've made, the challenges, and all the brilliant activities that have been possible because of the team of Pakistan Evaluation and Evaluate Pakistan. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over the floor to both our brilliant speakers. So Sara and Aman, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Maha, for this generous introduction. And I really feel an honor that you, it's a great thing what API is doing. And I really feel honored to represent Pakistan Evaluation Association for what we are doing and what we did for the professionalization of evaluation. So as Maha introduced myself, my name is Aman, and I am the co-founder of Pakistan Evaluation Association, which we founded in 2017, as you can see here on the timeline. And I am joining this call or this session currently from Myanmar, as I am currently based in Yangon, Myanmar. So it gives you an idea like how diverse the team is, because we have colleagues in Pakistan and also overseas or abroad as well. So very quickly, I'll walk you through with where we stand today here, and then we will talk about in terms of the professionalization, like why professionalization is important, what are some of the key areas that we have identified, and of course, we will talk more and in detail about what are some of the key steps which we are doing and which we are following in terms of professionalizing evaluation. So here, the timeline is obvious in front of you, that we founded in 2017, and then we drafted our constitution and bylaws in the same year, and then also we elected board members, which includes national as well as international experts of evaluation. We have had the representation in different evaluation forums, especially in conferences, like as you can see in IDEAS 2017, in EES evaluation, European Evaluation Society 2018, as well as in the NEC, which is National Evaluation Capacity of UN. And after that, we also signed MOUs, not with governments as well as with academia as well. And then in 2019, we also convened for an evaluation conference that was the first evaluation conference in Pakistan, which we did, where we invited stakeholders from different parts of the country, which includes like also some of those parts which are difficult to access. And after that, in 2020, we launched an Eval Youth Pakistan chapter, who is represented by Sarah today. And we are very grateful because this is something which we launched, and we are now working very closely for this. And there are, of course, many activities which we will discuss what we did in 2021 and 2022. So Sarah, can you move to the next slide, please? Thank you. So now we talk about what is evaluation and like why we want to professionalize evaluation. So as you can see here, I won't go into the details because this is self-explanatory, and you can see these are some of the gaps which we have identified. There is a lack of interest from the policymakers because there is no clarity, I would say, what we identified in terms of the policymakers, what they want to do, and like what is the importance of evaluation, why we want to professionalize evaluation. And also, we don't have any evaluation policy or policies at a national or provincial levels. Can you, Maha, can you hear me?
Yes, Aman.
Sorry, yeah, because sorry about that, because I was hearing some background noise, as well as because we do have a federal entity as well as provinces. So they are what we saw that the provinces are working. Yes, they do have these monitoring and evaluation departments or units, but they are working in silos. There is no coordination and there is no licensing among the provinces as well as provinces and the federal. And then we don't have any accredited credentials, and as well as there is no understanding like what is the utility of evaluation. As we know, like this is like once we do evaluation, so how we can utilize the data, the research, the evidence which we gather from the evaluation. So these are some of the gaps which we have identified. And next slide, please. Well, why professionalization? So this is something which is important, but as I said that rather than discussing more about why professionalization, I would be more detailing like what are some of the steps which we did in terms of professionalizing evaluation in Pakistan. So linked to some of the findings and the gaps I discussed, so we wanted to attract policymakers. We wanted to tell them, okay, like this is what evaluation is. This is the importance of evaluation. And then if we recognize this professional as a discipline, then of course it is going to legitimize practitioners. So this is something which we are thinking that we can do. And it also builds the public trust and confidence in what we do and how we do. One of the things which we have identified and which is something which we want to do by professionalizing evaluation is about regulating the supply and demand of evaluation. Like, okay, we know what we have evaluators who wants to do evaluations, and but we also want to bridge this gap of supply and demand. And of course, we need some guidance in terms of the moral and ethical conduct of professionals or evaluators, what we say. So these are some of the points. And now in my next slide, I will discuss about some of the key steps which PIA did in terms of professionalizing evaluation, or what we are thinking that we will do. And of course, there are some gaps. Sorry, there are some more points which my colleague Sarah, she will discuss in continuity of what we are doing. As I said, that PIA and EYP, Eval Youth Pakistan, we both work parallel to each other or closely work with each other. So first thing is that in Pakistan, what we are trying to do, we are when we talk about professionalization of evaluation, so we are in the stage or at the stage where we want in pursuit of the status. Like this is not because they're at this point in time, we just want to have that the evaluation as a discipline gets a status, like people as well as the policymaker, government, they recognize, okay, this is a status. This is the profession. The evaluation is a professional, is a profession, and then they should give it discipline as status. So this is something which we are trying to do. And then the next thing what we are doing, we are also looking at the evaluation policy mapping. When I talk about evaluation policy mapping, so we talk about at the national level or the federal level, as well as the provincial level. We do have MOU signed with some of the provincial governments, and we are facilitating them, we are helping them in order to come up with a policy, with an evaluation policy at the provincial level, as well as we are working very closely with the Planning Commission in Pakistan, which is the federal entity of planning, and we are working with the senior officials of Planning Commission, and then we are trying to come up with the evaluation policy, and of course we are using and bringing more stakeholders when we develop this policy. And the third thing which we are trying to advocate is the role of the parliament, that we know that this is so important. Unless or until we don't have we don't have the buy-in from those parliamentarians and the provincial assemblies, like from the parliamentarians from provincial assemblies as well as from the federal assembly, we won't be able to recognize the discipline of evaluation. So this is something which we are advocating. We do have a thematic group who is working on this, and then we are trying to advocate, we are trying to promote this discipline of evaluation with that. Again, what PIA does, we have developed a stakeholder forum, and in that stakeholder forum, which we have the representation from the government entities as well as from the civil society and the private sector organizations. So the forum, or the stakeholder forum, why we created it? We created it because we want to give one voice from the evaluation perspective. Okay, like, so people, as I mentioned, that organizations and individuals, they are working in silos. So we just wanted to come up with something that is coherent, and that is that's why we developed this stakeholder forum. And from this stakeholder forum, we regularly communicate and disseminate a lot of information that highlights the importance of evaluation, like why evaluation is important, why professionalizing evaluation and giving it a status of a discipline is important, and what are some of the benefits that we can have once we will do this evaluation, like once we will recognize the discipline of evaluation. Then of course we are working on the criteria and standard of evaluation profession, which is so important. We are we are coordinating and liaising with some of our counterparts. For example, API is one of the forum. Then also we are working closely with other evaluation societies, as well as we are working with some of the international evaluation experts and entities who really helps us in building this criteria of evaluation. And then we have an example which Sarah will later share with you, what we did with DAC evaluation criteria. And the last thing is which I will talk about, like what we are doing, because PIA, Pakistan Evaluation Association, is a community of practice where we have the representation from all the provinces. And what we do is we try to advocate, we try to promote evaluation through all these means which I have just mentioned, which are listed here. And this is something which we are trying to do. As I said at the start, this is what we believe is a long way. Still, we have to do a lot. But what we are trying our best at how we can incorporate and how we can establish within Pakistan at the federal level as well as at the provincial level. Okay, this is why evaluation is important, and why we have to recognize this evaluation as a profession. And these are some of the steps which we are doing. With that, I'll stop here, and then I will give this podium to my colleague Sarah, who will explain you or detail you about the Eval Youth Pakistan, which is the shootout of PIA, Pakistan Evaluation Association, and what are some of the key steps they are doing in terms of professionalizing evaluation. Thank you so much. So over to you, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Aman Saab, for that wonderful introduction to Pakistan's context in terms of professionalization. My name is Sarah, and I am the co-chair for Eval Youth Pakistan. I will be representing what all we have done with regards to promoting and advocating for better professionalization practices in Pakistan. So just to give a quick snapshot of who we are, and because that ties in with our efforts, is we're a network of young and emerging evaluators based in Pakistan, and we're also the youth chapter of Pakistan Evaluation Association. So we work very closely and collaboratively with our parent organization, which Aman Saab represents. So we are also institutionally aligned with Evaluate Asia and Evaluate Global on an international level. So that also guides our principles. That is also something that's very essential for us in laying our foundation and helping us structure. We launched in 23rd March last year. So we're still very new, very, still growing, still learning. But, in a span of 1.5 years almost, we took a very long time to decide to sort of formulate. And during that time, we were very acutely aware of these gaps that Aman mentioned. So the scenario being absolutely no national level policies or or regulatory bodies, centralized regulatory body that governs or that monitors evaluation practices in Pakistan. We also do not have an evaluators code of conduct or ethics in Pakistan. So due to that, there's a vacuum. And we were really aware of that. And to bridge that gap, what we decided was that now that we're starting this organization, we want to start from home. So we want to promote professionalization from the get-go from our organization so that we become a sort of model that we can replicate at a provincial level or then later, at a national level. So we started off with clearly defining our vision, mission. We made a theory of change. We made a whole framework of how we will be governing ourselves and how we will evaluate ourselves. We also made a strategy plan for the next 4 years, charting out how we will conduct our activities and how they align with our goal and vision, not just on a I would say a national level, but also aligning it with evaluation practices globally. So like I said, we made an international strategic plan. We also elected an executive committee that oversees all our activities. We also have specific management groups that represent different parts of the country. So that way we have a very diverse representation in our management. And they bring in a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom with regards to monitoring and evaluation practices in Pakistan, and consolidating them and professionalizing them and sort of bringing them all together on one board. Similarly, we also have a very active social media presence, which helps us in sort of promoting what we're doing to our national level stakeholders and letting them know that there's a drive, there's a motivation, and there's a need to promote this on a broader scale. So quickly, what we've done so far. We have about 28 registered members. We have periodic meetings with our members. We also have WhatsApp groups and other forums where we regularly interact with our members and share opportunities. At the same time, focusing more on capacity building. We realize that there's a huge gap where our industry is very donor driven, and a lot of international agencies or a lot of international organizations would come in and do evaluation activities. So there was a huge dearth of locally trained evaluation experts, I would say, with local experience, with local context knowledge. So what we started doing now is do more and more capacity building of these young and emerging evaluators. So we did a webinar on mapping the evaluation landscape in Pakistan with PEA. We also continuously participate in P2P Plus initiative, which is a peer-to-peer initiative, and that is how a lot of our members get to know what are international best practices and what are the current trends in evaluation. At the same time, recently we had a webinar on indigenous practices in Pakistan, M&E practices in Pakistan, and how our young and emerging, and that featured only young and emerging speakers. So they shared their experiences regarding how they have adapted evaluation practices to their local context, considering cultural and ethnic nuances in Pakistan. Moreover, we also recently, a huge step towards professionalization for us was working closely with OECD in translating the DAC criteria in Urdu, which is our national language. And I think with that, what we are hoping to achieve is to reach a much larger audience, for evaluation to become much more accessible, to also become much more meaningful and also useful for local stakeholders. Because previously, evaluation was, like I said, mostly donor driven and mostly used by donors only. Local stakeholders would not be using these evaluation reports or evaluation learnings. Moving on, these are some of the in local and international groups that we work with and we have partnered with, and that also helps with professionalization because we understand, we get to know, we realize, our members get to realize what is happening in Asia, what is happening globally. And then, so after participating in these forums, then when they come back to our meetings or our activities, they have these brilliant new ideas, and then we try to implement and incorporate them however much possible. So that also helps us a lot in professionalizing, evaluation practices to whatever extent we can. Furthermore, we also, facilitated scholarships for a lot of our members to attend M&E courses from different institutes globally, which included Encompass Learning Center, Asia Pacific Winter School, etc. And at the same time, we also disseminate a lot of the training opportunities and capacity building opportunities that we receive from worldwide institutions to our members. So moving on, focusing on what we've been doing currently and what we recently have done is a crucial step that Evaluate Pakistan did was have a partnership with UNICEF Pakistan, and that was really a monumental, I think, achievement for us. And the details of that partnership, or the what we wanted to achieve collaboratively was, to include more and more young and emerging evaluators in evaluation. So that way, one, there's more diversity. And like I said, a lot of these younger evaluators have such global experiences through these trainings, through these networking sessions. They bring a lot of new ideas to evaluation, a lot of global practices to evaluation. And and I would really applaud UNICEF for taking this initiative. And what they've done from their end is that for all of their evaluation assignments now, as part of the TRs, it is mandatory for organizations applying for that applying for that assignment to have a young and emerging evaluator as part of the team. So it's mandatory. So every time, there's an evaluation assignment, these evaluation organizations based in Pakistan or abroad, they reach out to us, and then we are able to sort of nominate somebody or suggest some profiles that fit that particular assignment. And that way, again, trying to advocate, like I said, for better professionalization in collaboration with international stakeholders that are present in Pakistan. So at the same time, we're also we're trying to work closely with academia, because we realize there's a huge gap between academia and the practical or the development sector. So we recently are in the process of signing an MOU with University of Sindh, again, for knowledge sharing, mentoring, career counseling, and many courses. At the same time, in the recent past, we have also offered exclusive work and internship opportunities for Evaluate Pakistan members, and that way, that has expanded their capacity building and expanded their skill set with regards to evaluation. I would echo what Aman Saab said, is it's a long way to go, but being whatever influence we have, whatever remaining in our ambit, we're trying to do whatever we can to advocate for better for increased professionalization at a national level, so that this becomes a more structured, and this becomes a more I would say a centralized and regulated sort of sector, as opposed to being, organizations and stakeholders working in silos. So, but we're really hopeful because we've received a really positive response. Like I said, from UNICEF Pakistan, there are other organizations who are also very keen on implementing a similar model with us, as well as national level bodies with whom we regularly consult and involve them in these activities, so that they understand the importance and know that this is a push from the industry to sort of move towards codifying and sort of professionalizing evaluation practices. So really hopeful. So that's the note that I want to end on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aman and Sarah. Brilliant time management, by the way. So great. So like all these initiatives and actions you've shared, I want to really give credit to the team of PIA and Evaluate Pakistan. I'm so proud because I've seen I've been associated with both these organizations, and I've seen how hard they work and the growth so far. So amazing work. And today we have an amazing audience, so many familiar names and faces. And now is the time that we have the Q&A session. We already have a question in the chat box, so we're going to begin with that. And I'm just going to request all of you that this is a very informal, casual session. So if you want to speak up, you can unmute. This is the time that you can unmute your mic and you can ask questions from the speakers, or if you don't have a question, you have a comment or a suggestion, please feel free to do so. And we'll begin with the question that Carlos has posted, and he's asking, did you map if in Pakistan academia universities there's any course on evaluation, and what kind of evaluation capacity development opportunities exist in Pakistan? So anyone who wants to take this question, please go ahead.
So I'm
Yes,
happy to talk about it, because this is something we recently did as part of Evaluate Pakistan. So unfortunately, there isn't a dedicated course or a degree on evaluation. So what happens is that a lot of social science courses or development studies courses have subjects related to evaluation or multi-line evaluation, or have some topics, but there isn't any sort of structured, I would say, degree or structured course, or a semester-long course that happens. We have some local organizations that offer M&E courses. So for instance, there's CERP, Center for Economic Research and Policy, that is based in Lahore, that they offer M&E or evaluation focused courses in Pakistan, which are also in person, and recently due to COVID, they've also done them virtually. So that is one organization that is doing it. But other than that, this is exactly what I mentioned in my presentation, that there is a huge gap between academia and industry. So demand and supply. We do not have highly trained, skilled evaluators or M&E professionals coming in, because we don't have any courses, or we don't teach them in our universities. A lot of the learning that these young people have is through on-the-job learning, or is through accidentally falling into M&E and just enjoying it, or usually coming in M&E from statistics or a mathematics background or a research background. So there is definitely a huge need to collaborate more with academia and to advocate more for these courses, and that way we can sort of increase our pool of trained evaluators in Pakistan. I think the more people we have, of course, they'll advocate more. There'll be a push towards sort of structuring it better, like I said, regulating it better. So yeah.
Yes, if I may add, so also LUMS, Lahore University of Management Sciences, so they have a minor which is public management, and there's no specific like a dedicated course for M&E, but there's a section in which they teach the M&E for non-profit and voluntary organizations. But yes, not too much in detail, but there is a section where you can learn about it, and where at least I got more to know about it. And as Sarah said, that the other disciplines like economics and research and statistics, that then when you're studying them, then there's that is a helpful tool or skill set for M&E. But yes, we need dedicated courses as well. All right, so do we have another question? There's a comment by Francis. So again, is there a structured course outline for young and emerging evaluators? So anyone from the audience or from, and Francis, if you want to elaborate, if you want to unmute your mic and talk to the speakers or anyone in the audience. We have, hello.
Yes, hello, Maha. Can I make a question?
How are you?
I am fine, thank you. I would like to know from PIA and Eval Youth Pakistan, what is the scope of the work that they are doing in terms of, are you focused just on Islamabad, or are you covering maybe more provinces in terms of participants and in terms of engagement in the activities? Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Okay, maybe I can respond. Thank you. Thank you for this question. And well, we are not confined only to Islamabad, which is the capital. As you can see, Sarah, she is based in Karachi, and we have Eval Youth Chapter, and we do have representation even from the provinces like Gilgit-Baltistan. And very recently, I think last year, we did an indigenous study on indigenous evaluation. That was led by PIA, and also there were contribution from Eval Youth chapters as well. But as I mentioned in my presentation, quickly I will respond to you that we are working closely not only with the federal government but also with provincial government. Like, just to give you a context, like myself, I served as a monitoring and evaluation expert for 2 years in one of the provincial assemblies. In one of the provincial department of M&E in planning ministry, that is Punjab, which is the largest province. So we do have an MOU with them, and we also work closely with other provinces, as well as Sarah mentioned that she or Eval Youth Pakistan, we are going to have signed this MOU with University of Sindh, which you see is based in Sindh. So we are trying to cover or to integrate what has been happening all over the country, rather than we focus on ourselves in Islamabad. But of course, as you can see, when we talk about the parliament, so we have to course our efforts towards the policymakers who sits in these provincial capitals or in the capital of Pakistan. Yeah, but it depends. But we are working all across with university students, with young and emerging evaluator. But of course, for the advocacy work, what we do, if it's tailored toward the parliamentarian, then we have to work with these in these cities or in provincial capitals.
I'm Malika here. Can I come in?
Oh, please.
Yes. We are organizing the Community of Evaluators South Asia Conclave in October. Will you be able to, especially the young group, share your own experience? Because I find you have been doing a lot of things, and also in collaboration with UNICEF. So we would like to listen to you. Will you be available for the conclave?
Absolutely.
So,
I would, if you can leave your contact details, and we can then email you. We'll get in touch with you, both Pakistan Evaluation and EYP, and then we can collaborate. Sure.
It's kind of hybrid, because we have online as well as physical. Physical might be difficult for you, but at least if you can join the online, I can invite you to do the sharing.
Absolutely. Okay, that is amazing.
Thank
you for the offer and invite. And on this note, I am going to thank all of you for joining in today. I'm going to thank the 2 brilliant speakers that joined us today, and both the organizations, and thank you, APIA, for this opportunity. And next month, last Friday, we'll meet again, and hopefully I'll see you all again. So thank you from my side, and take care and have a good day.
Thank you so much, Maha, and thanks everyone for joining us. Take care.
Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you, Maha and the team, for having us. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.